Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Keely, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you 5 different hikes in Oahu, Hawaii that range from family-friendly hikes to hiking up an entire mountain. Not only am I going to give you tips, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about each one before you go. This video is going to be a comprehensive guide of each of the hikes that I go over. I'm going to talk about what time is best to go, parking, what you need to bring with you, how long it takes, and how difficult and crowded it was. But before I do that, I quickly want to mention the AllTrails app. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, I just think it's very helpful to have if you're hiking somewhere that you've never been before. It lets you see your location real time while you're hiking, and it gives you a route to follow for the specific hike that you pick. It also keeps track of your miles, moving time, and things like elevation. I just wanted to recommend it because I use it on every hike that I go on and it's very helpful. Me and my boyfriend did all 5 hikes that I mentioned in this video, and they each have their own strengths and weaknesses, some being much harder than others, so I'm going to start with the easiest hike and work up to the hardest. The easiest hike we did on Oahu was Diamond Head. Diamond Head is the ancient volcanic crater that's easily seen from Waikiki Beach. To get there, you can take a bus, Uber, or rental car. It's only a 13-minute drive from Waikiki. If you have a rental car like we did, it's best to get there before 8 a.m. before the parking fills up. And whether you're at a beach or a hike, never leave valuables in your car. Break-ins are common in Hawaii, and you'll see signs everywhere when you get there to remind you. Diamond Head is the most crowded and popular hike that we went on. It's also the only hike that had a gift shop and cost money. It was $5 per adult. It opens at 6 a.m. and closes at 6 p.m., but the cutoff time to enter is 4 p.m., so keep that in mind. We only did this hike because we decided to wake up early on our last day and try to see the sunrise there. This didn't work out perfect because it was August and the sunrise times didn't really work with the park opening times, but it was still pretty. It's 1.8 miles in total and takes about an hour to complete. It's railed, so you can only follow the path, and there's a section with a lot of stairs, but there is a way that you can bypass those so that you don't need to go up them. You can see this on the map that they give you there. Overall, this is a very family-friendly hike, and it's definitely worth the $5, but there are much better hikes on Oahu that are way less crowded. Since it has the option where you can bypass the stairs, I would rate this hike as very easy. The only thing I recommend for you to take with you is water and sunscreen. You don't necessarily need specific shoes for this hike. The next trail I'm going to mention is the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail, which is 30 minutes from Waikiki. The gates open at 7 a.m. and it is a popular hike, but it also has a fair amount of parking, so you don't have to get here super early like most of the other hikes. We got there at 1 p.m. and didn't have to wait for parking at all. I don't recommend going midday like we did though, because midday is when it's hottest and there is absolutely no shade on this hike. It's 2.5 miles round trip and it takes about an hour and 20 minutes to complete. We did see quite a lot of people here, but it wasn't as crowded as Diamond Head. It's a smooth paved incline all the way to the top, and as a bonus, you might be able to see whales here from December to April. This hike is definitely a little harder than Diamond Head, but it's not difficult by any means. It just takes a little bit of endurance. Overall, I would rate this hike as easy. All you need to bring with you is sunscreen and water. There is an additional trail that you can do here, which I will mention later in the video. This next hike is a step up in difficulty. The Lanikai Pillbox hike is a 40-minute drive from Waikiki, and it's 1.8 miles long and takes about 1 hour and 10 minutes for most people to complete. It doesn't have its own parking. You need to park in the Kuliouou Beach parking lot, which is about 1 mile from the start of the hike. This adds 2 miles to the hike, making it a total of 3.8 miles. I recommend going before 9 a.m. because the parking lot can fill up quick and the trail itself can get kind of crowded. We went at 8 a.m. and it wasn't that bad. The start of the trail is pretty hidden. I recommend using the AllTrails app or maybe your phone's GPS to help you find it. There's no shade and some pretty steep inclines. Some areas even have ropes to help you up. I never fell, but I remember slipping multiple times because of the texture of the dirt along the whole trail. I recommend wearing some shoes that have grip. Since there's no trees anywhere, you get really pretty views the whole time you're on this hike. This trail has 2 pillboxes that you can go to. You can even go inside these if you want. They're pretty cool. When you're on top of the pillboxes, you get a really pretty 360 view. In front of you is the famous Mokes, and behind you is a landscape of mountains. A little tip, pay attention to where you're standing because in certain spots the trail can get a little thinner and there are these cactus-like plants that can cut you if you're not paying attention. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed the hike and I would rate it as moderate. Make sure you have some water, sunscreen, and good shoes that aren't like flip-flops or something. I'm putting a warning on this next hike because it is very dangerous. The Makapu'u Tidepools is a trail that diverts off the path of the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail. I'm including it because we did it and really enjoyed it, but I understand that it's very dangerous. It's 1.9 miles in total by itself, which is about an hour in just hiking, but if you do it with the full Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail, it's a 0.6 mile addition. To get to the tide pools, you start off following the main trail, and then eventually you will see these signs that say warning, strong current. From there, you hike down the side of the mountain. It's only 0.3 miles from that sign to the tide pools, but it took me 30 minutes to get all the way down because of how difficult the hike was. The hike itself isn't the reason that there's a warning sign, but it felt pretty scary at times. There isn't a clear path there, it's all just rocks with some spray paint here and there to help direct you. I felt like I was gonna fall the whole time because of how steep it was. I never fell, it just took me a while to get down there. Once you get to the tide pools, use extreme caution in and around the water. It's very cool to see the fish swimming around and all the sea life there, but you can't let your guard down. Large waves can come out of nowhere and go into the tide pools unexpectedly. You need to understand that if you decide to go into the tide pools that are closer to the waves and a big wave happens to come, it's more than capable of being able to throw you into the rocks and even possibly pull you out into the ocean. When we went, we stayed in the tide pool that was furthest from the waves, and we constantly paid attention to the weather, if the water level looked like it was rising, and if the waves looked like they were getting bigger. I'm not saying I recommend this, I just put it on the list because we really enjoyed it. The tide pool's water was warm, we got to see the fish swim around, and we also saw the pretty active blowhole that's there. If you do decide to go there though, you absolutely need water shoes. We saw 2 out of the 10 people that were there fall and cut themselves on the rocks. I did my research before and we came prepared and wore Crocs. The moss that's on the rocks and the water is extremely slippery, and even with the Crocs we still slipped a little, so be careful. Watch other videos on YouTube, read news articles and hiking guides, inform yourself if you're deciding to do this. Overall, I would say the hike down to and up from the tide pools was moderate. Definitely harder than the Lanikai Pillbox hike though. This is the only hike on the list that I would highly recommend not taking your children to. When hiking, I recommend shoes other than the water shoes you bring, preferably some with grip. And of course, take water, sunscreen, and a change of clothes if you plan on swimming. The last hike I'm going to talk about, and the most difficult hike that we did, is the Kuliouou Ridge hike. It's a 4.7 mile hike from the trailhead and takes most people about 3 hours to complete. I say from the trailhead because parking is in a neighborhood and it's pretty hard to come by. We weren't lucky and had to park about half a mile down a hill. Since it was so hard for us to find parking and we went at 8:30 a.m., I recommend going as early as you can. The hike itself wasn't really crowded though. The street that you're going to park on is called Kuliouou Place, or possibly one of the connecting streets if it's full. When parking, you have to pay attention to the signs, driveways, and fire hydrants. Some streets don't allow you to park on them at all, some streets only allow you to park in certain sections, and some streets have spray paint markings on the ground that you have to abide by. As long as you pay attention to the signs, you'll be fine. The hike starts at the end of Kuliouou Place, and most of the hike has shade. The first half isn't even that bad, but around the halfway mark, it starts getting really steep, and eventually closer to the top, there's a small rest area. Then there's this natural looking doorway. It looks like an entranceway made from trees. Once you pass this, it means you're getting close to the sets of stairs. Those stairs are rough. My boyfriend is able to just run up them because he's insane, but I was dying. Once you get to the top, the wind can be pretty strong and it's even kind of cold up there. And I know it may look a little scary in the video, but I never felt like I was gonna fall. It's a pretty big open area that you get to stand on. I saw some people have their kids with them and they seemed like they were doing fine. The only thing I recommend is just keeping a good eye on them when you're at the top of the mountain, but besides that, nothing else really felt dangerous. Overall, I would rate this hike as moderate. Just make sure to take a lot of water with you and some comfortable shoes because it is a long hike. That is all I have for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. Also, check out my other video for more things to do in Oahu. But besides that, like this video if you liked it, subscribe to my channel for more travel related content, and follow me on Instagram at keely.pc. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!